They said a little heat was healthy. For centuries, physicians believed fever was nature, as way of burning disease out of the body. So when chemistry learned how to imitate that spark, the world called it progress. In the early 20th century, the age of tonics and patent pills, one scientific cold cure did exactly what it promised. It chased winter out of the veins. The problem was that it kept going long after the virus was gone. It raised body temperature past safety, past sanity. At 102 degrees Fahrenheit, the cure began cooking the brain that swallowed it. The human brain can tolerate fever for only a few degrees above normal. By 104, neurons swell. At 106, proteins unravel. Long before those numbers were understood, doctors liked what they saw in mild fevers, patients flushed with energy and seeming to recover faster. If a little heat cures, an Austrian physician wrote in 1884, perhaps controllable heat will cure anything. That single sentence lit a century of experiments that would break the line between healing and torture. It started innocently. At the end of the 1800s, when malaria still terrified Europe, Dr. Julius Wagner-Jauregg infected syphilis victims deliberately with malaria parasites to create recurrent fevers. The heat, he discovered, killed the bacteria that destroyed the brain. Treponema pallidum. Patients jerked through days of 105 degrees, suffered hallucinations, and sometimes died. The survivors walked out miraculously cured of paralysis and dementia. In 1927, he won the Nobel Prize. Fever had officially become a drug. Laboratories rushed to reproduce the effect without infection. Early synthetic fever injections appeared. Sulfur compounds, immune stimulants, toxins extracted from tuberculosis cultures. Advertisements called them fire serums. Hospitals installed special furnaces to induce hyperthermia for neurosyphilis, arthritis, even schizophrenia. Patients emerged drenched, shaking, alive, and some never woke again. By mid-century, medicine quietly buried the idea that boiling people could heal them. But the fever school lived on under a new disguise: chemical heating from the inside. When household medicine modernized after World War II, the pharmacy shelf became a carnival of colors. Families wanted quick relief for flu and cough. Drug companies wanted repeat customers. The perfect over-the-counter seduction was a multi-purpose capsule that numbed pain, dried noses, boosted mood, raised energy. Few knew that the early formulations sometimes mixed stimulants and vasoconstrictors that assaulted temperature control systems directly. In labs, pharmacists called them sympathomimetic cocktails. In living bodies, they became slow fevers. One of those ingredients was aniline derivatives, the chemical ancestors of acetaminophen and phenacetin, cheap, effective, and when pushed too far, lethal. Phenacetin in particular became famous as the fashionable cold reliever of the 1950s. It never caused sleepiness. In fact, many users reported strange, warm euphoria. Sales boomed. Then pathologists noticed blue-gray kidneys and overheated livers during autopsies. Phenacetin destroyed the body's ability to regulate temperature and filter toxins. In vulnerable users, moderate doses pushed body heat to 102 or 103 degrees for hours, just enough to denature brain proteins slowly. By the time regulators banned it in the 1980s, millions had taken it across generations. Its modern descendant, acetaminophen, Tylenol, paracetamol, survived because dosage was better understood. But acetaminophen too can quietly roast the liver when mixed with alcohol or swallowed in desperation. Even before phenacetin died, another better molecule had stepped up: phenylpropanolamine, PPA. It looked perfect, an appetite suppressant and nasal decongestant in one. Found in Dexatrim, Alka-Seltzer Plus, Triaminic, mixed into diet pills, sinus drops, energy powders. It constricted blood vessels to clear sinuses, but also strangled arteries leading to the brain. By the late 1990s, emergency rooms noticed strokes in young women who'd taken nothing stronger than a cold remedy before work. Temperatures soared as blood pressure spiked. Some patients arrived conscious, talking nonsense before collapsing into unconscious heat. Investigators found that PPA-AS adrenergic surge flooded the hypothalamus, the thermostat of the body, tricking it into runaway activation. A federal review in 2000 confirmed that the risk of hemorrhagic stroke was real. The FDA ordered every PPA-containing medicine off U.S. shelves. The same chemical still appears online under other guises, smuggled through fat burner supplements. If those drugs brought the temperature crisis by acceleration, another famous disaster brought it by error: the chemosi elixir sulfanilamide, case of 1937. Seeking to turn the new wonder antibiotic sulfa into a pleasant syrup, a Tennessee chemist dissolved it in diethylene glycol, antifreeze. The mixture tasted sweet, worked well on bacteria, and collapsed kidneys across the country. 107 people died, many of them children. Fever was one symptom among many, a terminal burn rising from poisoned metabolism. The outrage forced Congress to pass the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938 (IUS), the first American law requiring proof of safety before sale. Modern drug regulation was born from literal heat stroke. Yet even well-tested chemicals betray us through hubris. By the 21st century, researchers pushed for a perfect cold cure. Non-drowsy, fast multi-target, safe as candy. They isolated compounds like pseudoephedrine, a milder cousin of PPA, and dextromethorphan, the cough suppressant that acts ironically on the same receptors targeted by ketamine and PCP. Mixed improperly, the combination still triggers hyperthermic crises. In the lab, it is called serotonin syndrome. Body temperature climbing beyond 102 degrees Celsius, muscles rigid, pupils blown wide, the brain misfiring in fluorescent hallucinations. The phenomenon lives quietly in hospital charts every winter. Patients who double doses because it is only cold medicine. Sometimes the danger comes not from chemistry but from culture. Fever, we're told, must be broken immediately. Parents panic, overlay children with blankets, or alternate acetaminophen and ibuprofen to force the thermometer lower, never realizing they're playing biochemical ping-pong with the liver. Worldwide, acetaminophen overdose remains the leading cause of acute liver failure. Acute liver. The difference between therapeutic comfort and internal combustion is a few grams, an ounce of impatience. Emergency physicians describe it clinically. Stage 1, nausea. Stage 2, pain under the ribs. Stage 3, fulminant necrosis, the organs slow roasting at body temperature. The irony couldn't be deeper. For centuries, humanity feared chills more than heat. We bestowed warmth as kindness, invented saunas and poultices, prescribed hot brandy. When the chemical age gave us the ability to turn warmth into tablets, we never asked whether the body wanted that much help. The list of miracle cold cures that killed by overheating is long. The mercury rubs of the 1800s, the aspirin plus caffeine stacks of the 1920s, the DNP metabolic boosters, all lessons already learned once. In the archive of forgotten advertisements preserved in medical museums, you can read the poetry of disaster. An ad from 1935 shows a smiling nurse offering a spoon to a feverish child beneath the caption, "Warmth within means life itself." No one knew the elixir was cooking more than germs. A century later, smartphone commercials promised the same comfort with sleeker language. Fast-acting relief that keeps you unstoppable. The adjectives changed, the arrogance didn't. Modern cold medicines are safer than their ancestors, but the boundary of comfort still trembles at 102 degrees. At that mark, proteins inside neurons begin to unfold like paper cranes in fire. Patients describe confusion, blurred vision, euphoria that feels holy. The body misreads pain as light. For a few shining minutes, the cure feels like transcendence, before organ failure sets in. It's the physiological truth behind countless addiction patterns. The heat that precedes collapse feels divine. In hospitals, toxicologists see yearly waves of this same quiet epidemic. They call it hyperthermic toxidrome. The common denominators are banal. Over-the-counter mixtures stacked with energy drinks, decongestants washed down with fever reducers, diet pills taken during colds to speed up recovery. Each variable raises core temperature half a degree. Together they ignite. Doctors lower body temperatures with ice blankets, IV sedatives, evaporative cooling. Survivors sometimes wake with memory gaps and speech slurs from microscopic brain damage at precisely 102 to 104 degrees. In case files, the phrase post-febrile cognitive deficit appears, sterile shorthand for cooked neurons. History never wastes its metaphors. The chemical that warms us has always been a mirror. It reveals our impatience, our fear of waiting for the body to heal itself. Society can't stand natural tempo. We turn fevers down, turn metabolisms up, regulate nature like climate control, then wonder why biological weather retaliates. The cold remedy that cooked brains at 102 degrees Celsius is every drug that promises more comfort than physiology allows. Whether it's a bottle from 1937 or a capsule from 2024, the result is the same shimmer of heat under the skull, relief crossing the border into destruction. Tonight, as pharmacies glow with late-hour light, someone is standing before the shelves, coughing, tired, ready to buy anything for sleep. They scroll past warnings, double the dose just in case, swallow 2 instead of 1. In a few hours, their pulse will beat faster, a flush rising up the neck, the world spinning pleasantly. They'll believe it means the medicine works. The thermometer will disagree. By morning, if they're lucky, the fever will break. If not, another statistic joins the quiet archive of humanity. S oldest paradox. Our refusal to trust our own body. S rhythm. The knowledge exists. The regulations exist. What's missing is memory. Because the most chilling detail about the cold remedy that cooked brains at 1 or 2 degrees isn't DOE. That it happened once. That it keeps happening, in new bottles with friendlier labels. If this story unsettles you, it should. Share it. Someone you know will reach for that same false warmth before the week is over. And the next time your body shivers, remember, heat is not always healing. Sometimes it's the warning that the cure has gone too far.